Hello everyone, Specter here, and welcome to Star Citizen. Today I would like to talk about the Anvil Legionnaire. I will first go through the stats of the ship, some pros and cons of it, as well as some problems players may face when flying this ship in the future. Before further ado, let's get to it. The Legionnaire is a boarding ship that is manufactured by Anvil Aerospace, and it is the first boarding ship that CRG created for the game back in 2022. The Legionnaire is about 32 meters in length, 23.3 meters in width, and 10.2 meters in height, which share similar size as the Drake Color series of ships. For the components, the Legionnaire has a computer, a radar, 2 power plants, 2 coolers, and 3 shield generators, which all of them are small-sized components. Also, the ship comes up with a built-in docking override and hacking device for bypassing the air control and docking permit of the targeted vessel. For the weapons, the Legionnaire has 2 size 2 twin-mounted remote turrets that are located on top of the ship's center part and rear. The pilot can control the center top turret with 2 distortion cannons, while the co-pilot can control the rear turret with 2 repeaters. For the interior of the ship, the Legionnaire has a cockpit, a compartment with 8 jump seats for a fully armed boarding party, a locker area for breaching devices and heavier armors and weapons, as well as 2-in-1 docking collar that can deploy cover for the troops. The standalone price of the Legionnaire is $120, while the Warborn price would be $100. Now, let's talk about the pros of the Legionnaire. First, boarding without a boarding ship requires boarding party to EVA out of their own ship to the target's airlock. This action usually will be very slow and provide more time for the defending side to prepare behind the airlock. Having the Legionnaire can allow the strike team to have faster access to the targeted ship before the security on board can react. Also, the docking collar of the Legionnaire has some deployable cover for the boarding party as well, which can increase the chances of taking control of the targeted ship with less casualties. Nevertheless, the Legionnaire is well armored and shielded. The triple-size 1 shields and the thick layer of armor can make sure the crew can reach to the target even if the area is not fully secured by the friendly side. Lastly, and it's my personal thought, Legionnaire can be carried by many ships without a proper hangar. According to the Q&A, Legionnaire will jump into quantum travel with the ships that it's docking with, which means that all the ships with an airlock can carry the Legionnaire externally even without a hangar. Okay, it's time to talk about the cons of the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire is a delicate boarding ship and it does not have a cargo bay. It means that the gameplay for the ship is relatively limited. Secondly, due to its weak firepower, the Legionnaire needs escort fighters and vessels to support its boarding missions. Lastly, although the Legionnaire can provide deployable cover for the troopers on board, breaching the airlock is still a difficult task. It means that a single Legionnaire may not be able to capture the targeted ship successfully. Alright, so let's talk about some possible roles that the Legionnaire can perform. First, the Legionnaire can act as a dropship when the proper dropships are not available. Since the Legionnaire is heavily armored and shielded, it can carry troops to the ground even if it is under enemy fire, which makes it a downgraded but still capable dropship when you don't have the other choices. Secondly, involving in piracy would be one of the options, and remember, I'm not asking you to fly the Legionnaire alone for piracy, but instead be a part of a pirate fleet. The Legionnaire can disable docking permits of the targeted ship. It allows the pirates to enter someone's ship without letting their target to have time to react during the intrusion. Also, boarding the ship may increase the efficiency of transporting loot, as you may be able to fly the targeted ship back to base directly instead of spending time in space transferring cargo containers to your own ship. Lastly, the Legionnaire can be a very good ship for evacuation. Normally, people will rush to the escape pods when the ship is going down, but not everyone is so lucky enough to make their way to those pods. The Legionnaire can act as a rescue ship and head to the airlock, override the permission and dragging the survivors out of the sinking ship. Finally, I think that it's time to talk about the problems that the Legionnaire is facing right now. First, about the docking mechanism. Nowadays, the docking mechanism is asking players to match the tiny dots on the screen, which is a painful task for many players. It takes a long time to finish the docking sequence. Unfortunately, Legionnaire probably need to perform docking sequence under enemy fire. If the Legionnaire is still using this kind of mechanism for docking, it will be destroyed easily, even if it is heavily armored and shielded. Also, the targeted ship usually is not fully disabled before the Legionnaire arrived. they can simply stop the Legionnaire from docking by slightly moving around. It turns out CIG really need to rework on the docking mechanism in the game, or the Legionnaire will not be as good as it should be. Secondly, hacking and anti-hacking gameplay is as fancy as Dragon vs Phoenix. Due to how CIG designed the bombing mechanism, a relatively new gameplay in Star Citizen, players should expect the electronic warfare mechanism to be a little bit player unfriendly or unreasonable at the early stage. I just hope that they won't use tapping speed on keyboards or mouse to decide who gained the upper hand in the hacking gameplay. In summary, Anvil Legionnaire is a ship with great potential to extend a new gameplay experience in Star Citizen in the future. Yet, the mechanism that currently exists in the game may not allow the Legionnaire to show its full potential. So that is it for today's video about the Anvil Legionnaire. What do you think about this ship? Feel free to leave a comment down below, and I shall see you guys next time. Take care, stay safe, and bye bye.